Hello, Veteran Outdoorsman here today, and we're going to talk about what today is one of my all-time can't do without shotguns. This is my all-time can't do without guns, period. This is my primary shotgun, and you say, "What? It's got scope on it." I'll explain that in a second. This is a Beretta 390. Now let's go ahead. Clear. Chamber's clear. We're good to go. Beretta 390. You can see that there. Wonderful shotgun. Semi-humpback receiver. I've always liked that look. It is self-regulating, gas-fed. Will shoot light loads, heavy loads without any real adjustment. You can tune this with different springs and things to your load for optimal performance. But basically, it's a throw it in, shoot it. Been used for years in Argentina and other places where there's a lot of high volume shooting. Somebody will say, no, that's the Benelli. No. The Benelli has been used for years as well. The problem with the Benelli is it's recoil operated. And many outfitters did use the Beretta 390 being gas fed and self-regulating. And it does take thousands and thousands of rounds of abuse without any major repair. The Benelli, sure, that's used as well. This is another platform been used many times. So what's the deal with the scope? Right now, we're coming out of deer season. This has my 24-inch rifled barrel, and I deer hunted with it this year. I've owned slug guns over the years. I hunted with slug guns over the years. Never killed a deer with a slug. Had this slug barrel for quite a while because I used to hunt in Illinois, and I bought the barrel right after what I didn't know was my last year to hunt in Illinois. I lost access to that farm. Before that, I had used my muzzle loader and had some, and bow as well, and had success. My inline muzzleloader worked very well in slug-only areas, because typically a muzzleloader was allowed. I'd owned other slug guns over the years. I had a slug barrel for a Remington 870 that I had, which was the gun that I shot for years, Remington 870. My wife has a 20 gauge right now. I don't have a 12 gauge, but I used Remington 870 Express 12 gauge for years. Had two of them. Love those guns. Had a slug barrel not a slug barrel, sorry. Had a slug gun, a H&R Ultra slug gun with a heavy barrel that I really liked. But again, just never got the chance to take a deer. I hunted many times with smooth bores with rifled slugs. Well, I've got a good spot to hunt. I had this barrel laying around, had this scope laying around. Decided I was going to put them together and just see what happened. Took them out to the range, shot, fairly decent, inch and a half, 2-inch groups at 100 yards with cheap Federal sabled slugs, 1 ounce solid lead hollow point slugs. And I thought, where I hunt, I don't get a shot usually over 50 yards. This is what I'm going to take, and I'm going to kill a deer this year. And I did. I shot a basket rack 7-point. So that's the story behind the barrel. That's what's on there. But I've got a 28-inch field barrel that I use as well. The particular gun did come with 3 chokes, and I've added some additionals over time. It has screw-in chokes. Recoil is fairly minimal. This model came with a hard butt plate, not very thick, and Beretta did offer a thin gel style recoil pad that I considered buying. Um, Problem, the recoil is not bad, but with the hard butt plate, I went on a continental pheasant hunt and shot several boxes of shells in a very short period of time, and it did irritate my shoulder. I did have some soreness at the end, but the recoil more than manageable. But I decided I'm gonna put a better recoil pad on it, and I put this Sims. Uh, yeah, see, I got some dirt on it. It's from hunting. This is my hunting gun. I put this Sims recoil pad on it. It is longer than the butt plate that was on it, so length of pull may be an issue if you have one of these and you decide to change out the recoil pad. But for me, even though I'm not very tall, I do have fairly long arms. A good test for length of pull: put it in the crook of your arm. Here, pull the trigger. It's comfortable. It's right there, and of course I short draw it then. I've got loose fitting clothes right now, but it works pretty well. Maybe a touch long, but not really. It fits me pretty good. It's comfortable. The scope works really well. It's just a really nice setup. I like this cantilever barrel because I can take it off, leave the scope on it, put it safely somewhere where it's not going to be banged around, and when I take it decided in later, it should be right on the money. Before you know it, I'll take it apart. I'll put the 28-inch field barrel with the vent rib and the screw and chokes back on it. Just haven't had a need to, so I haven't. Low recoiling, very reliable. I've never had a hang up with this gun, no matter what I shot. Field loads, clays loads, turkey loads, etc. Patterns very well with the factory chokes and with aftermarket Carlson's, kicks, chokes, etc. Shoots very well with these slugs. Makes a really nice combo. I got a good deal on online with this barrel. I've got one shotgun now that I can do anything with. I can bird hunt, squirrel hunt, rabbit hunt, duck hunt, goose hunt, turkey hunt. Then I decide that I want to go hunt big game, hogs, bears, deer. Plenty of larger game have been killed with slugs, elk, moose, bears. It does limit your range. With the slugs that I shoot, 125 yards is about as far as I'm going to want to shoot because of the velocity. They shoot a 1-inch slug at about 1,500 feet per second. So I'm not going to want to shoot much past that. Maybe 150, 125 for me is about my personal limit. I've got it sighted dead on at 100, and that's what I stick with. But at that range, with that big slug, 50 caliber, 1-ounce slug, I'd have no problem shooting large game with it, elk, etc. But I use it for whitetails. Let me tell you my experience this year. The only deer that I've ever killed with a slug. Opening day, I'm sitting in a spot that's been very good to me over the years. I hear some movement. I look over my shoulder. Basket rack 7-point came in. I'm a meat hunter. I am not a trophy hunter. I have killed some large whitetails over the years, but that wasn't what I was out for. I hadn't killed a deer yet this year, or this past season. I had not killed one yet at that point, and I wanted to put meat in the freezer. I was hoping it was a doe, but it turned out to be a younger 7-point buck. It came in, ended up being about 35 steps from where I was sitting. Broadside, pulled the trigger. He reacted to the shot, took off running. And this is the only deer that I've ever shot that I could physically see blood coming out of the deer as it was running away. And it was pouring out, had a great big red spot on his side. He slammed into a tree, spun around backwards, slid down the hill, and died. less than 10 yards from me at that point. Very effective. I have taken this dove hunting. I love to dove hunt with it. I can shoot several boxes of shells if need be, especially since I put that Sims recoil pad on it without any undue punishment to my shoulder. I did have a shoulder injury back in high school, and I can handle recoil to a certain extent, but just over and over and over again does make for some pretty sore nights. So I do like this how it manages the recoil. Um, Rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, etc. People say, "Well, you squirrel hunt with a 22." Okay. I go out there to shoot a bunch of squirrels put in a pot, and I like to hunt with shotgun in the fall. I do sneak around with 22s, with 22 pistols, with air rifles. I hunt with everything. But I do hunt with shotgun. Rabbit, same way. It's well balanced. It shoots good, patterns well. It's got shims. Came with one shim, which can be changed for left hand or right hand cast, depending on how you want it, and also changes the rise by flipping it upside down. And you can order different shims, and you can stack them, etc., to change. It would possibly make slight changes in the length of pull, but it changes the cast and changes the rise so that the gun points where you aim it. Now see, I wasn't thinking about it, I shouldered it perfect. When I'm thinking about it, I'll sometimes catch myself short. But, I mean, just phenomenal gun. I love it. I absolutely love it. And what brought me to this shotgun was several years ago when my wife and I had first gotten married. I'd gone on a pheasant hunt the year before, and I had the two shotguns that I had, two 12 gauges that I used quite a bit. My all-around guns were an EAA double barrel, 12 gauge with choke tubes. Loved that gun. Lightweight, swung sweet. The only gun that I've ever killed a limit of doves with less than 2 boxes of shells. Actually, in fact, it is. I think I did it with 1 box. I mean, just a wonderful shooting gun. I could do that with this gun, but I get a little trigger happy with it being a semi-automatic, and I need to start just putting 2 shells or just 1 and kind of keep myself from boom, boom, boom. But it does shoot very well. And then I had a Mossberg A35 with a 24-inch ported barrel. Patterned well, horrible shotgun. The most brutal shooting shotgun that I've ever fired in my life. People will say that's because I'm a sissy. Okay, I'll take that. I hated the gun. Even the ones that I'd fired with 28-inch barrels weren't very pleasant. This one, and I'm not talking with 3.5-inch shells. I shot 3.5-inch shells. I shot a turkey at fairly long range, and I won't mention the range because 1, it's really irrelevant. 2, I don't want other people to try that because I got lucky. But I did kill turkey with it. I shot squirrels, doves, rabbits, etc. I loaned it when I got that double barrel, I loaned it to buddies and whatnot because pump 12 gauge shotgun, great gun. Was reliable. Not extremely well balanced, but not bad. But the issue I had with it was it just beat me to death. We would shoot 2 3/4-inch 3-dram trap loads, 1.125 of 7.5s or 8s at a shooting match, and I had a scope mounted on it, and it would knock your hat and your glasses off of your head. And not from a bench, standing at a rest. It would recoil hard enough that it would knock. If you were wearing glasses, it would knock the glasses off your face. If you wore a hat, it would knock your head off your head. And not because the scope hit it. Just Brutal shooting gun. The double barrel was fairly swift, well balanced and everything, but had pretty stout recoil. And I'd mentioned to my wife that I'd like to get a nice gas operated, self regulating automatic. Although I like 1100, 1187, they have the issues with the O rings and they don't always handle light loads very well. But they're wonderful guns, reliable guns. I wouldn't mind having one at some point, but I wanted a nice self regulating automatic. And Remington had just come out with its Versa Max. She said, find one you like and get it. She said, your birthday's coming up. Find one you like, get it. I thought, now that's why I married this woman. Remember, we just only been married about a year. No. I'm wrong. We've been married about 2, I guess. Anyway, we hadn't been married very long. We had a little bit of money in the bank that we'd saved, and she said that I could pick that out. So I went down and I found this Beretta 390. I did some research on it, and everything I read I liked. Not extremely heavy gun, light recoiling, handles light loads, handles heavy loads. I like it, so I picked it up. I can compare it to 2 other auto loaders that I've owned. I had a Charles Daly that I actually liked quite a bit, but in order to handle heavy loads and light loads, there was they call it a valve, but just little pieces of aluminum that when you disassembled the gun, you would turn one way or the other for light loads or heavy loads. I'm not sure if they still do that, but it was a good gun. Fairly inexpensive, came with 3 choke tubes, used Remington style choke tubes that I already owned several from having Remington 870 for years. Nice gun, but I didn't like the fact of having to change those around. And I was afraid that I'd leave it on light and shoot turkey loads and bang up the inside of the receiver or something like that. And I didn't want that. So I also had anyway, it went down the road. I also had a Winchester 1400. Just not my type of gun. Fairly light recoiling, but this one was a 26-inch plain barrel. Did have wind chokes, which I liked. Did pattern very well. I shot it good. Just not. Had it had a 28-inch barrel, especially with a vent rib, I think I would have liked it a lot more, and I probably would have kept it. But it was a nice gun. But comparing these, it's closer to the Charles Daly, but the fact that I could shoot 3-inch shells, which the 1400 couldn't do, that I could shoot light loads and heavy loads interchangeably, which the Charles Daly didn't do, is what I really like. Now, this was not a cheap firearm. I think 10 years ago I spent north of $600 for it. I spent a couple $100 on the accessory barrel that I put on it, but just can't speak highly enough. And say you're starting out hunting and you want a gun that you can do the most with for your money. 12 gauge shotgun is definitely the way to go. Remington 870, Mossberg 500, if that's your choice. Find an old Winchester 1300. A Remington 1187, somewhere along those lines, will serve you very well. But if you can afford it, now they don't make the 390 anymore, but Beretta makes fine shotguns. This is the cat's meow. I love it. I really like that semi-humpback kind of halfway between a round receiver and a Browning. It comes to my shoulder just perfect. Fits me really well. Shoots just spot on. The adjustment with the shims, the cycling, the reliability, the light recoil, just great. And shoot it with slugs. It's still not horribly uncomfortable from the bench. A little brutal, but from field positions, great. Didn't even notice shooting at a deer, which I typically don't. But probably be the last. If I had to get rid of all my guns, this would certainly be the last one I'd get rid of because it's just so versatile, and I just like it so much. Choke tubes aren't the easiest to find. It's the Beretta Benelli mobile chokes, and it's the first ones. I believe it's the mobile chokes. It's got the square type threads at the end of the choke tube instead of down at the front end of the choke tube instead of the rear end. But they're not too hard to find. You can find them at Orscheln. Bass Pro Cabela's always has them. Most gun shops will have them. Just excellent, excellent, excellent shotgun. I do things I don't like. I'm used to a Remington. I shot a Remington 870 from the time I was 12 till I was almost 30. I do not like the fact that the safety is up here. On a shotgun, a safety is supposed to be back here. That's the way Remington does it. That's the way everyone should do it. A lot of guys grew up shooting Winchesters. They like it up here. One thing I will say, that it's not as far forward as a Winchester. It's easier to reach. I haven't had any trouble adjusting to this being here, but I would have really preferred it to be right here. But not a real big deal. Certainly not a deal breaker. But I did prefer it back here. A lot of guys like the Mossbergs with the tang safety, because your thumb's right there, and it's also ambidextrous as far as safety goes. But one thing that I don't like is that the disassembly, not as simple as an 870. There's a spring involved, but not horrible. Not bad, not bad at all. Aftermarket barrels, basically non-existent. Since the firearms not manufactured anymore, you can't get them from Beretta anymore. There was a period of time where they were clearancing everything out. I could have got a 32 or 32-inch barrel, I believe. And I really kick myself for not doing that. I also could have got a nice set of walnut stock for it, and I didn't get that. I really kick myself. One of these days I'm going to find one on Gunbroker or something and pay more than I should just to have it. But Sims makes that recoil pad. That'd be the only modification I'd really want to do. Maybe want to get a few different shims to get it adjusted the way you want. But pretty well plug and play. Buy some extra choke tubes. It came with a full set, full modified improved cylinder. If you pick one of these up used, also look at the Beretta 3901, which is the same gun with a round receiver. Takes the same barrels. It was marketed as their economy gun. It was sold at the same time that that some of the other higher end Berettas were sold. And it's the plain Jane model like this, just black synthetic stock. This is not blue. This is parkerized, I believe. Regardless, it's a nice matte finish. I like that. The stock isn't real rough. It's actually fairly smooth on the top, which I like for a shotgun because they do recoil and you don't want it to catch your face. Now, I don't really have that problem because I got that hair up there, but some people do, and if it catches your face, that gets uncomfortable after a while. Never had that problem with this when I was clean shaven, because when I bought this gun, I was still in the Army. I believe it might have been shortly after I got out. I think I was still in. Regardless, I never had that problem, even when I was clean shaved. Just can't say enough good things about it. Cannot say enough good things about it. The one thing I really don't like, and it's a minor thing, like I said, is that safety positioning. Um, again, get on Gunbroker, search your shops, look for used Beretta 390, Beretta 3901. You're not going to find a lot of them because when people have them, they tend to keep them till they fall apart. And they don't tend to fall apart. But if it's something you're interested in, maybe you have one and it's just been sitting in a closet and you never really shot it, you don't know much about it. Take it out and shoot it. You're really going to like it. You can't go wrong with a Beretta, period. You cannot go wrong with a Beretta shotgun, especially their autoloaders. They were way ahead of the curve. The 390 was made for years. Wonderful shotgun. Still very, very common on the trap range. A lot of guys still shoot at trap shooting. A lot of guys still like to use it for upland, for doves, ducks, etc. And it's just because of the recoil, because of handling light loads and heavy loads. When you think when you're trap shooting, especially if you're handicap shooting, you may be shooting one time at 16 yards, another time way out, or another time closer, etc. You may change loads, handicap loads, standard loads, etc. You don't have a problem. Maybe duck hunting, and ducks are coming in close, decoying. You're shooting 1 1/4 ounce fours, steel shot, and the ducks start flying higher. The geese are coming in. You want to throw in some heavy loads. In the fall, get up in the morning, do some fall turkey hunting. Later on, go do some squirrel hunting. If it's legal where you're at, if they're in season, maybe do some rabbit hunting, some dove hunting. You don't have to change things around, just change your ammo. It's great for that. The Beretta 390, probably to me, the most favorite shotgun that I've owned. Certainly one that I would not consider getting rid of unless I just absolutely had to. I've got the slug barrel for it. I've got the 28-inch field barrel for it. I love it. Fits me well. Doesn't kick the snot out of me. I stuck with a pump for years because I knew that I could shoot absolutely anything through it. I feel just as confident with this. And it's easier on my shoulder. And I really, really like it. So, there you have it. This is Veteran Outdoorsman. Remember, Christ is King. And I will see you next time. You all have a good one.